Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the Mad Kiger, and up here today, guys, with another series overview. A genre overview, I guess. Today, I'm going to be talking about some superhero games. Yes, um, I think I've got most of them that I've got physical, at least. I've got a bunch of them somewhere else, and I'll talk about some superhero games. But superheroes. When I think about superheroes, you think about those comic books, the Batman, the Spider-Man, the Iron Man, Captain America, Superman, Marvel and DC. This isn't a comic book video, so, there are some other games like Judge Dredd and some other comics like Rogue Trooper and stuff, games based on particular comic. But I wanted to focus on superheroes, people with superpowers, or Batman and Spider-Man and things, Marvel and DC. Um, and I've got a bunch of games here. Most of them are PS2, but I do have some more modern ones as well. Superhero games have been around for a long time. They've been around since the Atari 2600. But even the Atari 2600 had a Spider-Man and a Superman game on it. And obviously there was the early Commodore 64 games and the NES. There are great superhero games like the old Batman game on NES. That was a fantastic game. And then there's notoriously bad superhero games like Superman 64 on Nintendo 64. Superhero games aren't going anywhere. But nowadays, superhero games have always had this mixed bag kind of thing. There are a lot of cash grabs games that were just made for, kids. There are Lego superhero games which are fine in their own right. Games like DC Supervillains, which I forgot to show off there. But and then there are really in-depth superhero games like the Spider-Man and the Batman Arkham game, which were amazing. We have the upcoming Avengers game as well in September. I can't wait for that one. So there's so many superhero games out there. But let's just get into the ones that I happen to own. The first and my earliest game, I guess, is The Incredible Hulk from the Sega Mega Drive. I have never played this game. I have no clue if it's any good or not, but let me know in the comments, if there's games that I've never played before, I want to know in the comments. But yes, it just goes to show that, superhero games have been around for a long time, Then for the PlayStation 1, I have X-Men Mutant Academy in this really beat-up case. This is a fighting game with X-Men characters. There are a couple of fighting games with X-Men characters released. I'm going to put it back so I don't break it. There was one on PS2 as well, which I think I have. So there are a bunch of fighting games as well. Superhero games have always tried to be beat 'em up to fighting games. You've had platformers, you've had racing games. There are so many versions of superhero games. Speaking of Spider-Man, we have Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1. Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1 and even the sequel, the second one, I think it's something like Return of Electro or something like that. These were amazing games for the time. These were very well-known games. Everyone loves the Spider-Man PS2, PS1 games. Spider-Man's always had a pretty decent run when it comes to video games. He's had his fair share of bad games, don't get me wrong. But for the most part, Spider-Man games have been pretty well made. And this is a great 3D platformer slash action game from the PS1 era. Very well-known game. Really good game. Definitely worth checking out. A not so good game is Batman and Robin. This game is based on the movie, so like I said, there are a lot of cash grabs, video games based on movies, and superheroes, because there's so many superhero movies, of course, video games are going to be a thing. But I've got to say that, I'm just checking, because I think I've got a bunch of games here that I haven't got as well. I've got a bunch more superhero games that I haven't found, so I'm sorry. This could be a two-part video at some point, but I just wanted to give an overview of some of the ones that I do have, not every single one. Batman and Robin, I've heard about this game. Apparently it's really bad. The graphics are okay for the PlayStation 1, they're pretty decent. The movie is one of them cult classics, some people love it, some people hate it. One sec. So yeah, there are a lot of Batman games, and you know, the movie was one of those. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's very cheesy, very 90s. I remember watching it growing up. I've seen it once or twice. Then we get into some more X-Men games. We have the X-Men Legends series 1 and 2. These games are excellent, sort of top-down, beat-em-up RPG games. They have some RPG elements. You've got loads of different X-Men characters to play as, some sort of even out there Marvel characters. I think you can play as Iron Man in one of these. These games are basically precursors to the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series. So if you've ever played Marvel Ultimate Alliance, definitely check out the X-Men Legends games. They were released on multiple systems, and I think there was even like a PSP version as well released. So there are lots of versions of these. A lot of people are asking for a new X-Men Legends game. I, for one, would love to see a new X-Men Legends game. Then we have X-Men Next Dimension. This is basically Mutant Academy Part 2 almost. It's another fighting game. I think I played it once with my friend and it was very subpar. You know, there are quite a few fighting games out there with superhero characters, and you're going to notice a lot of the games I'm showing are PS2 games because, you know, as a collector I have so many PS2 games. But speaking of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, this game is absolutely amazing. This is one of my favourite Marvel games of all time, possibly even superhero games. It's a top-down game, very similar to X-Men Legends. And, you know, you have a bunch of different characters in this game. You've got characters from the Fantastic Four, from the Avengers, Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, you know, X-Men characters. So it's all thrown into one. And this game has some pretty impressive level design. There are some really cool levels. There's one level on here when you go inside this like arcade and then you're in like a fun fair inside a pinball machine. It's really fun. It is a little bit old Marvel, so there's a lot of characters that you probably don't know about. But it is a very, very fun sort of RPG action game. There was a second game released and a third one on Nintendo Switch. I have got both of these games on my Xbox One Digital, and they are really fun. Then we have Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. This is basically like they were trying to make a fighting game and sort of create these new characters into this. So have Marvel characters with these sort of new characters. It's sort of like an arena fighter game. It's okay. I remember playing it as a kid thinking it was pretty awesome, but when I played it as an adult, I felt like it was a little bit on the sort of lower end of fun kind of thing. It was a pretty rough around the edges kind of game, but yeah, this was EA's Marvel game. Then we get into some Batman games. We have Batman Begins. This game is often considered to be the precursor to the Batman Arkham games. In fact, a lot of the elements in this game were reused in the Batman Arkham series. So this is obviously based on the movie, Batman Begins. And I remember I've seen mixed reviews about this game. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally played it once on the original Xbox years ago and never touched it since. So I'm going to have to replay it and see if it holds up. But if you don't want to play this version, play the Batman Arkham game because they are absolutely fantastic. Then we have some Batman animated stuff. We have Batman Rise of Sin Tzu. This is a sort of more traditional beat 'em up, more aimed towards the younger generation, you know, at the time. I think it's based on the animated series of the time. It looks like it is based on the animated series, the style they've gone for. So, you know, it has like 2-player modes. It's a beat 'em up kind of thing. So if you're into those sort of style of games, definitely check out Batman Rise of Sin Tzu. Then we have, in my opinion, probably the worst superhero game I've played ever, Batman Vengeance. This game could have been pretty good. Unfortunately, it's sort of like an action platformer with some fighting elements. And I'm going to be honest with you, I got to a point in the game where it says you have to glide over to another building. And every time I did it, it just didn't work. Didn't work. This is basically like another cash grab. You know, they were trying to go with the whole Batman animated, you know, because that was a very popular show at the time. And, you know, everyone knew Batman animated show because it was really good and everyone loves that show. And they thought, you know what, let's slap in Batman animated and make a game out of it. You know, there was never actually an original Batman animated game. I don't think there was Batman and Robin on The Adventures of Batman and Robin, I think, but there wasn't a game called Batman the Animated Series, the video game. That'd be pretty cool to see. Then we get some Superman games. We have Superman Shadow of Apocalypse. I've heard this game is, again, mixed reviews. It's based on the Superman cartoon, I think, of the early 2000s, late 90s, I think. The Superman animated show. I personally, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really care much for Superman. I just feel like his character is too overpowered, to be honest. You know, he's this indestructible character, apart from kryptonite and magic, I guess. But, you know, I've always thought like Superman was just overrated, you know. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate Superman. You know, he's one of the most recognisable superheroes. The Superman logo is the most recognisable logo in the world. So many people know that classic S, which stands for hope in Krypton. I think it's something like that. But yeah, this game is another animated game. Unfortunately, it did suffer a little bit. It's not that great, I hear, but it's better than Superman 64. Then we have Superman Returns. Superman even got a video game based on the movie Superman Returns. I haven't actually ever watched Superman Returns, nor have I played this game, so I don't really know what to say. But something interesting, I've seen this video earlier about video game maps and some of the biggest ones, and Superman Returns has a pretty huge map for its time. But obviously, because you can fly around and stuff, it's pretty easy to get through. Then we have Justice League Heroes. You know, Justice League was a pretty awesome show. I have seen the Justice League Unlimited. That was a pretty good show. But I don't think this is based on any particular show, just the whole Justice League as a whole. So Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Green Arrow, Martian Manhunter, and Zatanna. And this game is basically a complete rip-off of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Unfortunately, it doesn't hold up as well as Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but it's an okay game. Then we have the terrible Catwoman Halle Berry. I haven't personally seen the movie, so I don't know whether it's bad or good, but the game, I've heard the game is, well, I've heard the game is pretty bad. I don't think I've ever played this game. I think I might have played it on the Game Boy Advance. That's it, and that was because it was on like a multi-cart or something. I think that's the only time I've ever tried Catwoman, the video game. But yeah, they made a video game on Catwoman. It just goes to show that any movie in this era of time, you know, was getting a video game. I'm kind of glad we don't do that anymore. You know, not every big movie now gets a video game. Then we get into some Spider-Man games. Yeah, the good stuff. Spider-Man Friend or Foe. I'm kind of pissed because this copy I have don't work, so I'm going to have to get another copy. But this is, again, another sort of beat-em-up, sort of animated stuff. I kind of like the look of this one because you can play as Spider-Man and Green Goblin and Sandman, Rhino, Dr. Oct, even Iron Fist as well from the Defenders. So it seemed like a pretty fun game, but it just doesn't work. So I'm kind of pissed about that. Then we have Ultimate Spider-Man. I think this was based on the TV show Ultimate Spider-Man, or perhaps the comic Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm not sure if it was based on either one, but this is basically a much more animated style of, you know, Spider-Man open world. You can also play as Venom in this game. This game actually had in a limited edition with Venom on the front as well, so it's a kind of cool game. I've heard this is a really fun game as well. Then we get into the Spider-Man trilogy, the movie trilogy, Spider-Man 1, 2 and 3. The original game, Spider-Man 1, was actually a pretty fun game. I remember having this one as a kid, and this game is much more like the original Spider-Man game on the PlayStation 1 in the sense that it's level based, there's no open world, but it's actually a pretty fun game. The second one, however, is considered to be one of the best superhero games of all time because this game had, in the open world, this game is basically what inspired the new Marvel Spider-Man PS4 game. And the biggest thing about this game, other than the open world, the crimes, you know, and all of that stuff, was the webbing effect. You know how you swing from web to web. this game perfected the webbing. In fact, this game was in like Bravo's top 100 games video with all the celebrities in it. I seen it years ago on YouTube and they were talking about this game. This game is absolutely fantastic. If you're gonna play a Spider-Man game and you don't have the PS4, try out the PS2 version. It was on Xbox and GameCube as well, I think. And then we have Spider-Man 3. I've heard this game is okay. It just doesn't have the sort of wow factor the second game had, I think. Then we have two Fantastic Four games, Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. Say what you want about the movies. The gameplay is very similar to Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but all focusing on the Fantastic Four, you know, being able to switch between all four characters. I don't know how good these games are. I might have played, I think I played this one on the Wii years ago, but other than that, I don't know how good these games are. Maybe check them out. Let me know in the comments. Are they any good? Then we have Ghost Rider. Yeah, even Ghost Rider got a video game. And, you know, Ghost Rider's, I'm not sure if this is based on the movie or just Ghost Rider the character. You know, that movie with Nick Cage, which I watched and I didn't think it was that bad. I heard the Spirit of Vengeance was terrible. I haven't seen that yet, but you know, pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff was very laughable when we go back to it, you know, Daredevil and Elektra and stuff like that. But yeah, Ghost Rider had a video game as well. I hear this game is actually very similar in its gameplay to God of War. The sort of hack and slash style to it, which makes sense. Then we have Iron Man. One of my all-time favourite superheroes is Iron Man. He's my favourite hero of the Marvel Universe. This is based on the movie, I think. And I don't think I've ever played this version. I think I played the second game, and the second game was alright. These games aren't amazing, but Iron Man... Excuse me, Iron Man is coming back in a big way with the Marvel Avengers game. Then we have Blade 2. The original was on the Dreamcast, I think. This game is pretty bad. The combat in this game is really weird. Basically, to do melee combat, you use the analog stick to like move it backwards and forwards and punch and kick. I suppose they were trying to be, you know, unique. Unfortunately, most people just prefer, you know, a button to do punches and a button to kick and a button to use heavy attack. You know, like the 3-button combat we have today is laughable as that is compared to these old wacky combat styles. It just works and makes the game much more fun. You know, no overcomplicating things, just a fun game. But Blade 2, like the movies, it kind of just failed and bombed. I like the movies, don't get me wrong, but you know. Then we have some Incredible Hulk stuff. We have Hulk. This was based on the 2003 movie Hulk, before the Incredible Hulk. I think I played this once when I was a kid and never went back to it. So I don't know if it's any good. However, these two Incredible Hulk games, the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction and the Incredible Hulk, the official movie game, which I think this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe version. These games are considered to be really fun. These are big open world games. You know, if you've ever played something like Infamous or Prototype, those sort of, you know, open world games where you've got superpowers and you can just destroy everything. This is what the Incredible Hulk games were like. These are really fun games. I think this one was released on the Xbox 360 as well. And speaking of Xbox 360, I've got 3 Xbox 360 games here. I thought I had Young Justice and Green Lantern. They might be in there somewhere. I just couldn't find them, so I think I have them as well. Well, I have a copy of Spider-Man 3 on the Xbox 360. A copy of Thor: God of Thunder. I have never played this game. I hear it's actually not too bad. I don't think I've ever seen the original Thor movie. I don't think I've ever seen any of the Thor movies. And yeah, this game is even playable in 3D, which I guess was kind of unique for the time. Another one that actually this game is actually took me a while to find. Luckily, I got it for a decent price at the time. But Another game that is very hard to find nowadays is the Captain America video game. And I just don't see that game anywhere these days. And the last one is, for fuck's sake, is not really a superhero game per se, but it's a crossover, Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. Now, I don't think I've played, I might have played this once or twice as a kid, but, you know, this game basically spawned the Injustice games, and, you know, there are so many superhero games out there. Every single console has at least one superhero game, whether it's a Spider-Man or a Batman game, a Marvel, a DC game. Superhero games aren't going away, and we know that we're getting the Marvel Avengers game in September. I've seen the gameplay footage for it. It looks really fun. I mostly want that game for the co-op because that's why I brought it digital on Xbox One or pre-ordered it. I normally don't pre-order games, but I know it's a game I'm going to play because I love Marvel, I love the Avengers, and it's got co-op, so I know that I'm going to enjoy it. But yeah, and we've been told that there's going to be a new Batman game, and the new Batman Arkham game, or maybe it's not even an Arkham game, is going to be like Shadow of Mordor on, apparently it's going to have a very similar system to Shadow of Mordor with the whole, you know, it's going to apparently have, you know, teammates you can swap and play as, you know, a sort of rival system. If that's the case, that's going to be awesome. I definitely will be checking it out. There was meant to be a superhero Superman game coming out. Of course, there's Lego games. I've got Lego DC Villains there on PS4. There's Lego Marvel games. You know, there's so many Marvel and DC games and superhero games in general. Not even counting games that are just comic games that I didn't really put in here, like Terminator, Predator, Judge Dredd, stuff like that. Aliens, even though they are based on comics, I didn't really want to make this a comic themed video, just dedicated superhero games, with the exception of Marvel, Mortal Kombat. But yeah, you know, there's also Injustice, really fun fighting game. Definitely check out the Injustice series. And, you know, I'd love to see some sort of new superhero IPs. You know, we've got the Spider-Man Miles Morales coming up, which is going to be like an extension to the PlayStation 4 Marvel Spider-Man game. I really loved that Spider-Man game and the Batman Arkham game. Some of the best superhero games I ever played. I still think Arkham Asylum is my all-time favourite superhero game. I don't know, it just, the story and the whole concept of being stuck in Arkham Asylum just did it for me. Even though City and Night are the better versions of the games and have more stuff to them, I just preferred Arkham Asylum. But anyway, guys, so I hope you enjoyed today's little superhero games, even though I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. But yeah, you know, I'll definitely be checking out some of these superhero games and doing reviews as we go on. But speaking of exciting news, I am back on Twitch, guys. Yes, I have set up my Kinect to my Xbox One, and my Twitch is back up and running. I didn't know that Twitch still worked on the Xbox One. I thought it got shut down or you couldn't broadcast from it. Because Mixer's getting closed down, like I said in my video yesterday, I didn't know if I was going to go back to Twitch or YouTube, but I know that Twitch works. So I did a stream last night. Check me out on Twitch, called The Mad Kiger. Of course, that is my name everywhere. And of course, guys, I will be streaming tonight with my partner and my mate Ryan. We're going to play some Payday 2 tonight. So feel free to come and check that out. Hopefully, it'll all go well and we'll have some fun. But it's good to have the Kinect set back up because I now have face cam and stuff like that. I still need to fiddle around with it, try and get the best look, view and stuff. But just hopefully you guys can come join in, have some fun. We're just going to mess around on Payday 2, try and do some heist. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to leave a like. And of course, comment below. Let me know what you've been up to recently. What do you think of superhero games in general? Do you have any favourites? Or do you just not bother with them? I'd like to know. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and now Twitch at The Mad Kiger. I will be streaming there on Twitch tonight at 7 PM. British Standard Time, give or take. I will put the announcement out on Twitter when I'm ready. And as always, guys, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video, and hopefully tonight. Take care, and bye-bye.